When it comes to tennis, it seems like every professional player has a watch brand behind them. Grand Slams have now become a showcase of great players and even greater timepieces. Much like Formula One, golf, and all the other sports that draw a global audience with their general air of glamour, tennis is a sport that has a decades-long relationship with the world of watches. Of course, with watch sponsorships being what they are, we'd be here all day if we tried to list every great watch the world's top tennis pros have worn, so we've picked our favorite watches worn by the biggest tennis players of all time. Starting off with Rafael Nadal, he has a great case for being called the greatest tennis player of all time. In addition to being a world-class tennis star, the Spanish bull has great taste in watches. But if you look at what's on his wrist, you'll notice that it's all one brand. The Richard Mille. This isn't because he only has an appreciation of the super high-end brands. He's been a Richard Mille ambassador since 2010. Prior to meeting the Richard Mille in 2008, Nadal had always refused to wear a watch while playing tennis. It took a couple of years, but Mille would eventually convince him to become the brand's ambassador. But he has never just represented the brand. He worked with Richard Mille and the brand's designers and engineers to build highly complicated timepieces suitable and light enough for him to play tennis in. 2010 would be the first time that he wore a watch during a tennis match, let alone a Richard Mille. The tourbillon movement of the watch was made of a titanium and special alloy with high-end lithium, making it extremely light. The result was a movement that was just under 4 grams. The Richard Mille RM027 was limited to just 50 pieces and is currently offered for sale at around $1,600,000 on the secondary market. Richard Mille broke its own record for lightest watch when they released the Richard Mille RM2701, nicknamed Rafael Nadal, in 2013. The watch weighed just 18.83 grams, including the strap, which by the way is the heaviest part of this watch. The Richard Mille RM2701 is limited to only 50 pieces and it's currently selling on the secondary market for around $1,750,000. In honor of the 10-year anniversary of Richard Mille's and Nadal's collaboration, Richard Mille released the most recent version of the RM27, the RM2704, again limited to just 50 pieces. The RM2704 features what is reminiscent of tennis racket strings across the dial. That is no accident, and these metal mesh strings help hold the movement in place. This exact piece is currently selling for around $2,150,000 on the gray market. In 2017, Rafa is once again seen wearing the latest iteration of the Richard Mille, RM27, this time the RM2703. The red and yellow TPT quartz case of the RM2703 pays homage to his home country of Spain and the colors of the Spanish flag. This particular RM was not without its own innovations. His tourbillon movement has the ability to absorb shocks up to 10,000 Gs. Maybe that much shock absorption is not necessary for a tennis match, but Rafa can be sure his watch will stay intact while he plays. The Richard Mille RM2703 is a limited edition of 50 pieces and currently sells on the secondary market for around $1,685,000. The final Richard Mille that Nadal has been spotted wearing is unlike the rest. It is the only Richard Mille that was not designed and developed for Rafa himself. He was spotted wearing the Richard Mille RM1103 at the dinner with the owner of Richard Mille. Perhaps because he was not on the court, he didn't need to wear a watch with the lightness or shock absorption of the RM27 line. Instead, the RM1103 that he's wearing has a rose gold case as well as a flyback chronograph movement. The rose gold Richard Mille is currently selling for around $400,000. Next up we have Roger Federer. He's been a Rolex ambassador since 2006. The Swiss champion was the first to achieve 20 Grand Slam titles, a feat that made him a household name. Roger always wears a Rolex when he claims victory. With a trophy hoisted above his head, every imaginable Rolex Grail watch has been spotted on Roger's wrist. The watch most associated with him is the Rolex Datejust 41 with a Wimbledon dial. With its green Roman numeral dials, it calls to mind the green fields of Wimbledon. The watch itself is worth around $14,000. Gold watches with green dials have become popular in recent years. Rolex makes stunning gold watches with green dials, and Federer owns one. The Everose Rolex Day Date with green dial. Some may consider this blasphemy, but we prefer the rose gold with this color green dial to the combination used in the John Mayer Daytona. This day date retails for $40,000. In addition to his day date with green dial, Federer has been spotted with Rolex Day Date 40, featuring chocolate brown dial and baguette diamond indices. Due to the baguette diamonds, this piece retails at a premium over other gold day dates. Current value of this piece is $45,000. More recently, Federer attended the 2022 Wimbledon. He wasn't there to compete as he was recovering from knee surgery. Instead, he was among other former champions commemorating the 100th anniversary of the tournament at the All England Club. At the event, Federer was spotted wearing a brand new Rolex Daytona Orange in yellow gold. This timepiece features a bezel adorned with 32 baguette cut orange sapphires and a dial with 11 baguette cut orange sapphire indices. Although you likely won't be able to get it because it is so rare and off catalog, the Rolex Daytona Orange retails for $87,000. One of the holy grails for Daytona collectors is the Platinum Daytona. Not only is it made of platinum, it has a very unique ice blue dial with brown subdials and bezel. Only people that recognize the dial and bezel combination will really know the value and rarity of the watch. Federer has been seen wearing this watch around the tennis court. The Rolex Daytona in platinum retails for $75,000. When Roger raised his 18th Grand Slam trophy in 2017, he was wearing Rolex GMT Master 2, nicknamed the Batman, worth around $11,000. The Swiss win must have been especially sweet for Rolex since they are also a major sponsor of the Australian Open. Federer has also occasionally been spotted wearing a vintage Rolex, most notably the Daytona, reference number 6263, the Big Red, in stainless steel with black dial. The 6263 features a black acrylic bezel, a bezel no longer offered on any Daytona models. The watch is known as the Big Red to collectors because it says Daytona above 6 o'clock subdial in big red lettering. This Daytona has a market price around $135,000. Despite not being number one at the moment, Novak Djokovic is well known for being one of the best tennis players of all time. In 2011, Novak signed with one of the most high-end watch brands in the world. We are talking about Audemars Piguet. Throwback to 2015 when he won the Tennis Masters in Shanghai and was during the prize ceremony wearing a rare 48mm AP Royal Oak offshore chronograph Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Legacy. The watch is made of titanium, carbon, rose gold, and ceramic. AP is labeling this watch as limited edition, but they actually made over 1,500 of this exact watch. The watch has been produced over 10 years ago and it is estimated to be worth around $35,000. In 2021, the Novak signed a contract with Hublot and spotted at the Rolex Paris Masters 2021 wearing their Big Bang Mecha 10 blue ceramic, worth almost $25,000. He was endorsed by Seiko a few years ago, a partnership which has been very successful. Seiko has produced multiple special edition or specially named watches nicknamed by Novak itself. The Seiko Premier Novak Djokovic Special Edition, which is worth around $600, and the Seiko Sportra also worth around $600. We can see that being world-class tennis player comes with benefits of having luxury watch brand sponsors, as well as being involved in their production.